Welcome to Vintage SF. This is the first video of year 3 of Vintage SF. That means we're going to take a look at year 2 of Vintage SF. The very first video for this channel aired on April 17th, 2023. It was called Time Enough at Last. Then April 17th, 2024, I took a look at the first year of Vintage SF. I'd read 2 to 3 books a week that year. Quite ambitious. Now looking at year 2, I've read about 2 books a week. In the year 1 video, which I'll provide a link for in the description to this one, in that video I looked at 10 runner-up books and 10 books that I thought were some of the best reads of the year for me. They weren't ranked, they were just placed into these 2 categories. Now, you have to remember this is a retrospective. I do have a spreadsheet of the books I've read and some of my thoughts, but this still relies on memory, my experience with these books, and so that may change how I rank them, not necessarily by the rating that I gave at the end of each book review. Last year I had 10 runner-ups, this year I have 5 runner-ups, and then I have my top 10 reads of the year. At the end of the video, I want to do something different and give you my book of the year. I'll go back to year 1 and give you a book for that year and the book for this past year. So let's get started. Both the runner-up list and the best of list will be arranged alphabetically by the author's last name. My first runner-up is Lee Brackett's The Long Tomorrow. This is the video I might have committed to the most, shaving my mustache so I could look like an old order Mennonite. Of course, when it comes to a nuclear war, who's prepared to survive the most? The Mennonites. After a nuclear war, the 30th Amendment to the Constitution of the United States says, "No city, no town, no community of more than 1,000 people or 200 buildings to the square mile shall be built or permitted to exist anywhere in the United States." So 2 generations after the nuclear holocaust, we follow the story of 2 boys coming out of an old order Mennonite community looking for something more than the rural life that they're leading. They seek a rumored community that still uses technology. This is a great coming-of-age story in a post-apocalyptic future. Another runner-up, Burning Chrome by William Gibson, 1986. This is a collection of short stories. These short stories show the promise of Gibson for the future, including a short story that is a precursor to Neuromancer. This is where cyberpunk starts. But published before this book was Neuromancer in 1984. This is generally considered the most important cyberpunk novel from the beginning of that era. Although Burning Chrome was published after this book, know that the stories were printed in magazines before this book. You're going to hear a lot more about this book in the future because Apple TV Plus has optioned this book and is making a series. All the books I'm mentioning here do have videos on my channel. I just finished reading this book, Stanislav Lem, Fiasco. I almost put this into my top 10, my 10 best reads of the year. Perhaps if some time had passed, I may have replaced one of the books there with this one. This is very good. I reviewed this with my friend Bart of Bart's Bookspace. The review is only a couple videos back. I consider Lem's work to be science fiction literature. Dense with ideas, beautiful with prose, painting pictures, conceiving ideas, and arguing philosophy. This is an excellent read. And I was recently reminded of this book by Chris of Speculative Reader, Mockingbird by Walter Tevis. Most people know Tevis's mottos like The Queen's Gambit or The Color of Money. He's also written a great science fiction novel called The Man Who Fell to Earth. I think I like this one just as much as that one, perhaps even a little bit more. Once again, we have a post-apocalyptic future. We have a robot who is trying to kill itself but can't. And we have people who seem to be the last generation. Simple, clean prose, an ode to reading and books. It's a beautiful, beautiful book. Those are my 5 runner-ups. Let's get into my top 10. Remember, this is just in alphabetical order by the author's last name. My first top 10 memorable reads from this last year, Blood Music by Greg Bear, 1985. This book is part Flowers for Algernon and Childhood's End. It takes a concept, manipulating DNA, takes it to a level, gives us a big reveal, and takes it again another level and a big reveal. I love how it just plays out the concept, the scientific concept that it's working with, over and over again. In some ways, it's also a horror novel. I could say it's recommended. I think you know that all these books are recommended. The next one is The Death of Grass by John Christopher, 1956. What would happen if all grass died of a plague? No more cereal grains. Starvation in the food chain. Things take a bad turn, and there is nuclear war. Can a family survive finding their way to a farm, looking for something that they can grow and eat? This is like a John Wyndham novel, but grittier. A powerful read. For my third selection, I'm cheating here a little bit by having an author with 3 books, but these are 3 reference books. I'm just going to get them from back here. It's John Clute. The Encyclopedia of Fantasy. The Encyclopedia of Science Fiction. And the Illustrated Encyclopedia of Science Fiction. These 3 books illustrate the scholarship of John Clute. There are many contributors to these encyclopedias who are in the field of science fiction and fantasy as well. It is a great resource when I'm looking up information about books. And I like to sometimes just peruse through there, looking at themes and ideas and other authors. I like the abridged illustrated edition of the Encyclopedia of Science Fiction. There are some great timelines and visuals in there. If you ever see these in your used bookstores, do pick them up. Almost all this information and more can be found online, but there's something about holding a physical copy and perusing it that you can't do while just going through some web pages. My fourth selection for the most memorable reads of the last year is actually a reread. I reconsidered a novel that I don't think I gave a fair shake to the first time. Starship Troopers by Robert A. Heinlein, 1959. I don't know if I have to say really too much about this book, but I did find that the focus of it is not really fighting in armored suits. It was more of a coming-of-age story and looking at our responsibilities in society. Definitely a classic. Definitely a book that any SF fan should read. The next book on this list is from one of my favorite authors. I've been reading chronologically through her books. This one is from 1974, The Dispossessed. I think the best way to sum up this book is to read a little bit from the back blurb. A bleak moon settled by utopian anarchists. Anaris has long been isolated from other worlds, including its mother planet Eurus, a civilization of warring nations, great poverty, and immense wealth. Now Shevek, a brilliant physicist, is determined to reunite the 2 planets which have been divided by centuries of distrust. He will seek answers, question the unquestionable, and attempt to tear down the walls of hatred that have kept them apart. Ursula K. Le Guin is a Taoist, and it's very interesting to see the light and dark, the differences between the light-colored moon and the darker planet, the seeking to reunite people separated spatially and also philosophically. This one won the Hugo and Nebula Awards. And there's a second Le Guin novel that I read this year. The first one here was science fiction. The second one was the conclusion of the first trilogy of Earthsea. I have that novel back here in an omnibus edition. Let me just get that. These are the books of Earthsea by Ursula K. Le Guin, illustrations by Charles Vess. The third book, The Farthest Shore, published in 1972. This is the completion of the story of Ged. Or is it? I haven't read the second trilogy yet, but it sure seems like this is it. Le Guin is one who transcends both fantasy and science fiction into literature. At times very challenging, as in The Dispossessed, she's also a wonderful storyteller, as in The Farthest Shore. I'm amazed at the range that she has and the consistent excellence she shows in her writing. One of the authors in my runners-up has a book here in my top 10. Stanislav Lem's The Invincible. This is from an Ace Science Fiction Special Series 2 in the 1970s with an incredible cover. I can't remember the copyright date, and I have this in the bag right now. I'll put that copyright date down over here somewhere. Just like Fiasco, Invincible is a play on that word. We have a ship that's seemingly invincible go to a planet where another one of their ships has been abandoned. Where are the people? What has happened to them? This is a planet exploration. Once again, Lem deals with aliens in ways that no other science fiction authors have. He is first with some of the ideas and concepts in this novel that now we consider just natural parts of science fiction. I don't want to spoil it, but the alien technology of this planet is unbelievable. I'm finding Lem to be a person who is on par with Le Guin in terms of my appreciation of literature in science fiction. I do want to explore more and more of Lem's work. This next one might have been the most fun read of the year for me, and it is a novel that reaches towards literature as well. The Prestige by Christopher Priest. Now, many people know Christopher Nolan's movie, The Prestige. It's based on this novel, based on a portion of this novel, but it changes some things and makes it, I think, a little bit more violent than it needs to be. There's a beautiful framing story with 2 diaries in the middle, journals perhaps. Something fascinating has happened with a magical trick that is performed in the late 1800s and early 1900s. Is it possible that it's not magic, that it's science fiction? I found the ending of this one way more satisfying than the ending of the movie. If you like that movie, you really should read this novel. Now, we had some nonfiction books by John Clute. I have another nonfiction book which has made my top 10. I just have to get it from back here. The Making of the Planet of the Apes by J.M. Rinsler. This journalist looks at the making of the 1968 movie 50 years later, published in 2018. It is a beautiful picture book, a coffee table book, but it also has really good journalism, stories about the making of the movie, starting at the concepts, the novel by Pierre Boulle, the scripts, first scripted by Rod Serling, and then it goes into the stars, the directors who are attached to it, and eventually the actual making, the visuals, the special effects, the costumes, the makeup. This is an awesome book. Highly recommended. And the last book by author in my top 10 is The Science Fiction Hall of Fame, Volume 1, edited by Robert Silverberg. Now, this is a beautiful copy from the 1970s, copyright 1970, first Avon printing, July 1971. This is a 12th printing. And here you can see some of the authors and their stories. Let me tell you how this came together. I actually read this copy over here, and the good news is this one is in print. You can still find this. This is a definitive collection of the best science fiction stories from the years 1929 to 1964. At that point, the Science Fiction Writer of Americas were established and created the Nebula Award. In a project edited by Robert Silverberg, they polled the members for the best stories prior to that in science fiction. Here we have 26 stories by 26 different authors, all considered to be the best in their field. Every single story is a great story, and of course, there's context for the year that they're written. To me, this is a must-have for science fiction fans. There you have it, my 5 runner-ups, and the 10 best reads that I had in year 2 of doing vintage SF. But as I said earlier in the video, I plan to do now a book of the year, and I'm going to go back to year 1 of vintage SF first. In that year, I read a lot of books, and I read a lot of the classics in the field. I really wanted to establish the channel and the quality of writing that there is in vintage SF. Some of the books that were runners-up of that year could have cracked into the top 10 of this year. I'm saying all that because there was so many quality books there, it was really difficult to choose my book of the year. But of course, this is my personal favorite, and it was The Left Hand of Darkness by Ursula K. Le Guin. Only a couple novels into her career, she wrote a book that has been constantly in print, been taught in schools, and it takes a look at friendship, at gender, at people's places within society. And we have a journey through a snowy land. I live in Canada. I know what that might be like. And we have through this journey the growth of a friendship, an understanding. This is a beautiful novel of depth and of impact. I consider this one a must-have in the library of science fiction fans. In anybody's library for that matter. And my best read for year 2 of vintage SF, I almost named Making of the Planet of the Apes for the best book. But this one is just clearly heads and shoulders above all anthologies. The Science Fiction Hall of Fame Volume 1. If you want a survey of the best writers of the best stories pre-1964, this is the book to have. Once again, I think it's a must for any science fiction fan's library. And now to you, the viewers. I really appreciate all the people who view my videos, for the comments that you make, for the encouragement that I have to continue on. And I appreciate all the other creators out there who I've been able to collaborate and team with. At first, when I started this channel, I thought it was going to be a solitary adventure, but it really isn't. I look forward to creating more videos for you in the years ahead. I want to leave you with a visual of my top 10 reads for each year with the book that is the book of the year highlighted. I will create a post of this as well, so if you would like to save that image, you'll be able to. If you're not sure what I mean by creating a post, if you go to my channel page, one of the tab items on there is posts or community posts. And in there, you'll find a post coming up this next week that has both year 1 and year 2, 10 best, with that book highlighted. That's the best one of the year. As I mentioned in my previous video, the library tour, I have these new business cards. They work as bookmarks as well. If you're interested in a set of these or just 1 or 2 of them, let me know. I'd like some help with the postage, so if you could just post a super thanks for a couple bucks, that will take care of the postage. Following that super thanks, just fire me an email with your address and I'll send these out to you. My address is vintagesf@icloud.com. Thank you for joining me over the last 2 years, and here's to our next year, year 3 of Vintage SF. Until next time, keep reading.